Hello, Alexander.
Hello.
Hello. So, you are an actor from Yorkshire,
Yep, that's correct.
and you also have your own podcast, and you're a writer.
Yep, actor, writer, and I've just started a podcast for actors as well. Yes, that's right.
So, let's start with your acting. What motivated you to become an actor? Was there kind of an
Yeah.
occurrence in your life that happened, and then you were like, oh, I want to become an actor, or
I'll be honest. I wanted to get into acting since I was 7. I went to a local show with my mum, and it just hit me. I guess that's the easiest way of putting it. And since then, I'd be like, "Ooh, is what I want to do." So it's either film, theatre. I mean, I grew up watching a lot of films, um, like with my dad and things like that. So from the film aspect, I would say it's for my dad, but from the theatre aspect, it's for my mum.
so does your mum do theatre, or were you just going to theatre plays with her?
Um, just going to theatre plays.
That's so
So
nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So when did you start acting then?
I started acting. Well, I went into like acting classes and like a local sort of amateur dramatics sort of theatre company at around, yeah, say about 7 or 8. And then obviously from there, I just started sort of going forward with it. Went to a different company. I started off at Doncaster Little Theatre, which is my local theatre company. Then I went to Starstruck Theatre Academy, um, which that was a little bit more sort of like moving me up, obviously, as I got older. Um, Went back to DLT when I was like maybe 14, and then sort of like just from there it sort of spitballed, and I went into um, sort of things. Well, I went mainly into like professional work. I would say roughly I've been doing that. I've been a professional actor for about 10 years, but I've been trying to be make it to professional level for I'd probably say about 15 years. So yeah, so I moved around a lot. I stayed obviously in Doncaster, but I moved to different companies. Um, so I started off my professional training at Standby Method Acting Studios, which is in Sheffield. From there, I moved to where I'm currently training, which is Act Up North Leeds. So I go from Doncaster, where I'm based, to Leeds every week for training.
So what do you class is the difference between professional acting and kind of amateur acting?
Simply just being paid. That's all I would probably say is
Interesting.
like when a lot of people like look at like amateur work and professional work, I would probably argue it was just down to simply being paid. Because if you're acting, you are acting. Like there's no ifs, no buts, no babies. You are acting. Like and then people obviously look at it from a job aspect and they go, well, are you making money from this? Like people look at the average normal job and go, well, you're getting paid for this. It's like, yes. But yeah, that's probably the only way I'd probably look at it. Apart from maybe the type of projects that you're doing, feature films, TV, short films, West End theatre, off West End theatre. Like, there's so many different avenues with acting. So it's quite a it's quite a broad spectrum. But yeah, I'd probably say the only real difference would be getting paid for it.
And you said that you started off when you were 8 or 9. How do you think starting acting as like a really young child do you think it has benefited you, your acting career,
Oh
starting
yeah,
off so
yeah,
young?
yeah. I mean, it's not really based on how old that you can be, or when you first start, because you could be in your 30s and start acting, 40s, 50s, etc. The age isn't the important bit, but the skills that I learned from being into film, theatre, acting when I was so young, mainly would be confidence, social skills. I learned a lot of social skills from sort of like from acting, and just being. I'll be honest, being able to read people. Like you sort of come across people and you sort of see like you kind of without realizing, you sort of analyze what you're seeing. Okay, well, they're standing like this, and there's a lot more sort of psychological aspects to it that you don't really think about until you actually get older.
And do you think then that acting has kind of broadened your kind of outlook of in life or of the world because you're able to become different characters essentially?
It has sort of opened my eyes to like different perspectives, especially around the world. And because with acting, you have to research, like especially when you're sort of building a character from the ground up, you've got to research sort of like, okay, well, is this person, are they middle class, are they working class, what area of the country are they from, what's led them on this journey. So yeah, it has sort of broadened my horizons. It sort of made me look at the world in a different perspective, and being able to be open-minded and quite malleable in that way, and sort of seeing the world in a way of, oh well, this person's journey is very, very different to this one, but they've reached the same conclusion. Why is that? So yeah,
And being from Yorkshire, do you think that, actors outside of London are at a disadvantage?
I would I'll be honest, yes, because a lot of the stuff is down in London. Um,
Mm,
a good 90% of things are in London, casting wise. A lot of stuff has moved up to Yorkshire, so like
yeah,
Channel 4 has gone to Leeds, things like that. But that in itself doesn't give more representation to Yorkshire talent, because
right.
even though they've moved up, they will still hire Southern talent, be it crew, for
Mm,
example, and things like that. So it's still we're getting better. There is a lot more representation now than there was when I was growing up, but there's still a long way to go.
I mean, I went to college in Lincoln, and it was then that I realized that there are so much more opportunities in London, which isn't, I don't think it's fair, but it is what it is. And hopefully more, um, let's say, acting hubs or opportunities come to more up north at some point. Yeah,
We can pray, we can hope.
we
There's a
can
lot of
hope.
good film companies up in like Manchester, for example. There's a lot of places in Leeds, but they don't really get the funding that what the southern counterparts do. And so when it comes to sort of like when you look at for example now when you especially when you look at sort of like TV dramas, they are doing a lot of things that are perceived to be northern.
Yeah.
Um, but then when you actually look at the actual actors, you'll go, oh well, they trained in London. They're from London.
Mm,
They're from the south. They're just it's the Game of Thrones sort of analogy. I'd say is that like they're doing a northern accent or what is perceived to be a northern accent, but they're all southern, apart from like one or two. Whilst it would be really lovely to have the opportunity to be able to work on these sort of projects as a northern based actor, but the the counter measure to that, the sort of the other side of that is that there's a lot of stuff that is filmed down in London that has northern artists, and there's a lot of northern talent that have moved down to London. So it's a double edged sword. It's just representation at the moment. It's sort of it's getting there. It is getting there, but slowly and surely.
yeah. And speaking of opportunities for the working class, recently, actors such as Julie Graham and Isabel Smith spoke about the, you know, moving to London. Julie Graham stated, it's easier for someone who studied at Eton than a working class actor from up north. And yeah, do you think it's improving? Do you see any improvement? Because you've been in the industry for quite a while. So have you seen any improvement since then? Or do you think it's getting worse?
Um, I will be honest. It's in my opinion, it is getting worse because things like RADA, Lambda, Eton, places like that are still here, and people are still all going, oh well, you've got to be at this level, you've got to have gone to these places, and it's like, well, here's the countermeasure. Look at people like Brian Blessed. He's a Doncaster actor, very well known, for his booming voice, but he was told at drama school, you're never going to get anywhere with a northern accent. Like,
Wow.
you've got to get rid of it. You've got to go RP. You've got to get rid of it. So he did, and so now he obviously talks very posh and what. He can obviously go back into his Yorkshire accent, but that was then. Like now, like people are embracing like the northern accents, and like Liverpudlian, for example, is very well known. And you look at like Peaky Blinders, like the Birmingham accent, Yorkshire accent. Sean Bean's been around for many years, and he has never changed his accent. And that's, to be fair, being in protest of the RP. He's like, no, this is my accent, and this is the accent that I will use. So I'll be honest, to answer your question, it has got worse, because people have sort of gone to castings and gone, okay, well, we want a northern accent. And it's like, well, what's your definition of a northern accent? Something that just doesn't sound southern? Like, what do you want? Do you want Yorkshire? Do you want, and if you're looking at Yorkshire, where in Yorkshire are you wanting a Selby accent, a York accent, a Doncaster, Rotherham? Where? Like, there's no specifics there. It sort of like feels at the moment like a tick box. It's just like, okay, they have to be northern. Okay, anything that doesn't sound southern is northern. Like,
Yeah.
but it depends, because there's also sort of, like I say, there's a lot of projects going on at the moment that are filmed in Yorkshire. Like there's a lot of TV dramas that do have a representation of Yorkshire or of a northern, like of the north, but they're still southern actors. Like
Yes.
it's like, here's the representation, but we're not going to use Yorkshire talent to show that representation. It's so it is getting there. There's improvements here and there, but it's still, I don't think, in my opinion, that we'll see A-list, not like working class actor ever again. As Ian McKellen has mentioned himself in a few interviews, he doesn't feel that there'll ever be a working class sort of like Hollywood sort of level actor, because unfortunately they don't want that. Like they, in my opinion, but obviously things could change. Like it's just my opinion. Like from my perspective, like I was speaking to where I train. There's I was speaking to a couple of people, and I went, well, what's your opinion on this? And they went, well, actually, to be fair, for me, it kind of it's leveling out. And that was my co-host for my podcast, which is Marika. Great girl, really amazing. And she's like, well, because she's not English, she's Eastern European, and so there's a lot of people who are now wanting to see sort of more international talent, um, especially on the screen. There's I forget the name of the project, but there was recently a project on BBC, I believe it was BBC or ITV, where there was an actress who is Polish. The part was Polish, and it wasn't the stereotypical sort of role. It was actually a really more in-depth and meaningful role, and she did an amazing job. And she was casted simply because she A is Polish, but B she understands the cultural differences between England and obviously Poland, and it just worked really well. So
Yes.
for Marika and other sort of international actors, it's booming. But on the counterpart, it's still struggling for Northern talent.
Yeah. How do you think that this will affect the authenticity of performance, or even the kind of quality of British um, productions in itself?
I feel it will it will affect it quite a lot because, like I said before, I write, and a lot of the stuff that I'm writing is northern based, simply to get our voices out there. And
Mm.
I know that when it comes to obviously like casting, what's the first thing that I'm going to see is actors from London, drama schools in London, all of these going, okay, well, we want to be in this. And it's like, but this is like, like, obviously Britain is Britain, like, we all have the same sort of culture. But if I said to you, like, do you really understand what it's like to sort of be going, like, finishing school and then going to, like, your local fish and chip shop every single day? Um, like, do you understand what it's like to sort of, like, grow up seeing films where your accent is a caricature, where everyone just
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, I'm going down pit with our lad. I'm shoveling coal." It's like everyone just sees that as the basis of the North, and it's not.
Mm.
Like, we're a lot more eloquent, a lot more sophisticated than what people first assume. So for me, I do feel that it does hinder the authenticity in films itself because, like, people need to sort of see it from a different perspective, that not everyone from England is rich. Not everyone
Yeah.
from England is from London. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine who is Colombian, and they said to me, "Oh, so where in London are you from?" And I went, "I'm not from London."
Oh gosh.
And they went, "Oh, because every film that I've watched, everyone sounds like this." And I'm going, you just hit the nail on the head there. It's like
Mm.
everyone sounds like they're from London. So Americans, when Americans hear a British accent, they go, "Oh my God, where in London are you from?" And that's the first thing that comes out of their mouth. And it's because the culturally, um, the North in its authentic self has never been shown, like, or very, very, very rarely, because everything that's been sort of pumped out has been always the RP accent, London, or the South. But like I say, it is getting better. So there are shows that like do now start to have more of that. But that's why for the projects that I am making, I will be wanting Yorkshire or Northern talent, not because
Mm.
it's a, oh, I don't like Southern people. No, I love Southern people. Like, I have family that are Southern. It's more the fact that, like, for the particular stories that I'm telling, they are rooted in the North. So it's simply that reason. Now, if someone was to come to me and go, okay, well, I need you down in London for X amount of days to do a project, I go, yeah, sure. Can you do a London accent? I'd say, well, yeah, I can, but does the story call for a London accent? Like,
Mm.
is there any particular reason why you wouldn't want my natural Yorkshire accent? Um, I would ask the question, and to be fair, it's not to be difficult. It's just to open that dialogue and simply go, is there a way that we can sort of bridge the gap here between the north and the south, and sort of bring our two sort of cultures together? Like, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that would be great because, as you were saying, not a lot of people from London know what it's like up north or even have visited up north. So there is definitely that misunderstanding or like not knowing. It's like a complete different world to some people, which is really sad. So, do you write screenplays? Am I correct?
Um, yes, I write screenplays. I'm
Yay.
currently at the moment writing a feature film, and I'm
Oh,
also writing 3 short films as well.
amazing. I'm a screenwriter as well. Well, I do write screenplays. But yeah. So, what kind of genres do you write about in?
I'll be honest, whatever comes to my mind.
Okay.
At the moment, the feature film that I'm writing is a romantic drama. It's more drama than romance, but it's got elements of both. But I've been writing a action film, which is one of the shorts, and sort of writing sort of like, well, actually, technically it'd be two action films because the other one that I'm writing is sort of a dystopian sort of action, sort of sci-fi type film, and
Based in
the other one,
Yorkshire.
yeah, there's
Amazing.
the only one that's actually going to have elements of the South in it is going to be one of my short films, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, if I can do it, is going to be filmed mostly in Yorkshire, and there's going to be one or two scenes that are going to be filmed either in London or Hertfordshire. But we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, well, let me know. I'd be happy to help out at some point if you needed any help. Um, but your screenwriting process, how do you go about, getting these stories down onto paper?
um, Ironically, a lot of what I do is sort of like I'll do like a lot of like voice memos. So I'll sort of like I'll come up with an idea, and I will sort of just like sort of sit there in my room and sort of like record sort of what I think the idea is, sort of like key elements of it, sort of the base sort of storyline to it, and I will then sort of just go back, listen to it, and go, that doesn't work. Let's scrap that bit. That bit works. Okay. Then I'll sort of like because on my laptop as well as my phone, I've also obviously iPhone. I have the notes app, so I've literally just got notes of me going like. If anyone wants to see my notes, they'll be like, "What the hell?" Like this, it would sound like a made up. It would literally look like a made up language because it's like, what was one of them that I did recently? It was a schema, hacking, sword fight. It was like all these keywords like that I was just writing down. Like to me, it makes sense. For to other people, they'd be like, "What the hell? This makes no sense." But I sort of start off with that, and then I use cell text for writing. So what I would do is maybe like three times a week. I would like just take 3 days a week, sort of like after work, and just write whatever I can, sort of the main story, and sort of start piecing it together. Be it like maybe like scene 5, then scene 4, scene 2, sort of just like so I write. It does sound a bit discombobulated, but I sort of like write out of sequence. So I would write like the ending, and then I would write like the beginning and go,
Okay.
okay, so that's the middle. That's the I need to get the middle there, and then I'd sort of so it's when people sort of see my writing process, they're like, huh? How do you make sense of this? And I'm like, I have no idea. It's just my brain seems to make sense of it.
I mean, as long as
But
it works for you.
yeah. I mean, I'm dyslexic, so like I do struggle with sort of reading and writing. So I think that's probably why my process is sort of it works with me, but like other people would probably look at it and be like, that makes no sense at all. But I guess that's just the way I am.
Yeah, so I did read that you are dyslexic and you have dyspraxia. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, dyspraxia and dyslexia.
Yeah. So growing up, how did that, do you think acting has helped you with your these conditions to overcome them or
I would definitely say yes in terms of
Mhm.
dyslexia because with dyslexia, um, it's mainly reading and writing. But I also have dyscalculia, which is like for maths as well. But with sort of like with reading, getting getting scripts obviously in school and college, and obviously just every single week when I'm at Act Up North, just being able to read them and sort of be able to retain the information. It's acting has helped greatly with that because it's repetition. You're doing it all the time, so you're finding different ways of being able to read. Like there's words that like in the English language that I will look at and be like, I have no idea how to pronounce that.
Mm.
Uh, what? And then someone will obviously just say the word, and I will literally say to them, "Okay, can you just say that a couple more times?" Like just so I can get it in my head. So then it's sort of like a cheat code of how to sort of like then read that word in particular. And acting's helped greatly with that because with different projects comes different writing, it comes different words. So it just helps me sort of learn them. And from a creative perspective as well, dyslexic people are very creative, and it's given me sort of an outlet of my creativity. It's given me sort of like a basis to go, oh, so you're not entirely crazy. Uh, here's a sort of like a metaphorical gun. Put all your ideas in and just fire away, sort of thing. So it's helped greatly with that. In terms of dyspraxia, what's helped greatly in terms of acting is stage combat. I recently completed a stage combat course with, and I'm going to plug him because he's amazing. Jack Stockdale, who's based in Bradford, knows Jack of All Blades, his company. Amazing. They work all over, to be fair. He's done Sheffield, he's done Leeds, he's done London. A lot of the stuff he does down south, and he does stage combat. I recently did Sabre with him. So, yeah, I now have that to add to my CV. But that's helped greatly in terms of dyspraxia because dyspraxia itself is coordination.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously when you're on stage, you're doing like a fight scene or in a film doing fight scenes, like you've obviously got to be careful, like distance wise and everything. So that's greatly helped. It's helped. Obviously, I also used to dance many years ago, so that's also helped. But this is the thing with the creative industry. When there's people like me who are dyslexic and there's people who are neurodivergent, I can't imagine a world without the performing arts, without this sort of creative industry, because it would be a very bleak world, but also there'd be a lot of people sort of like me who wouldn't really have an avenue for their level of creativity or for just who they are, really. So yeah.
Yeah. And I recently found out that, actors such as Tom Holland, he said that he has dyslexia, and who was it? Oh, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've forgotten his name. Daniel Radcliffe, the Great.
Yes.
He has dyspraxia.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, do you think that the industry is improving in terms of diversifying, having actors with these kind of conditions? Do you think it's getting better?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like Tom Holland. There's many actors who are dyslexic, like tons. In terms of obviously dyspraxia and other sort of like versions of neurodivergency, it's a very accommodating sort of industry now. It's become a lot more sort of like inclusive, and especially in terms of like things like auditions, um, a lot of them will be like, okay, do you need extra time? Like, do you need us to send you the slides a couple of days early, for example, if you're dyslexic, just so you can sort of get the text down? Like, so yeah, in a nutshell, yeah, it's become a lot more inclusive, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. And what's the end goal for you? Do you see yourself going to Hollywood? Do you see yourself becoming, um, a accomplished screenwriter, or do you see yourself just continuing in acting, or do you see yourself doing like a mix of both acting and screenwriting? Acting and screenwriting.
I mean, I would love to do a mixture,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm honest, but like my main goal is always to be an accomplished actor. Now, whatever that means and whatever that might be, I'm yet to find out. Um, like a lot of people will use the sort of the trope of you need to be in Hollywood or you need to be on the West End to be an accomplished actor. I don't really see it that way. Accomplished actor for me would be to be doing what I want to do full time. Simple as that. Like it's not okay. Well, you need to be an A-list star, um, or you need to be like the top of the tree. Um, but that's just me. Like I love acting. I love film. I love theatre. I love anything to do with the creative industry. So if I could be a full-time actor and also screenwrite, I would love that. I would happily do that.
Yeah. And last question. So, at the moment, the British film industry is said to be kind of on the rocks or, suffering kind of. So, where do you see the industry going in the next 5 years? Because I know we have AI and lots of technological advancements, and we have, the economy.
Yeah, I mean, well, in terms obviously with what's happened in the past 5 years, obviously with COVID and sort of post-COVID, the industry unfortunately is going in a very different direction. Obviously, like you've mentioned with AI and obviously the technological advances of that, I'm urging other actors to protect themselves, their voices, their image, because with the introduction of AI, it is obviously, I don't know how true this is because I haven't really done much research into AI itself, but a lot of people are mentioning, oh well, with AI they can sort of use your likeness, use your voice, and they own it. You don't. So they could just turn around one day and be like, well, we now have your image. We're not going to pay you for it because we own the rights to it. So you won't make a penny off of whatever you're doing, be it voice work, for example, or be it obviously like catch is it catch mo? I think it's motion capture, where they have your image and things like that. So I do see the industry sort of going that way, but I also see a lot of people who are sort of going, right, well, if it is going this way, then there needs to be legislation in place to protect the actor and protect the screenwriter, protect the voiceover artist, which is good as well because a lot of people are sort of now standing up and going, right, well, we accept that it's going this way, but there has to be a compromise where we still have ownership of our own image and our own voice. But on the other side of that, I do like the fact that like we are advancing because there's going to be different avenues where people can try new things, be it from a creative perspective. Like I would love to do voice work one day, um, but if that happens, that happens. Um, I mean, anyone would love to do voice work. It sounds and looks really fun, but I, for me personally, I love the idea that there is advancement, but there's also people who are in place where they will be like, well, at the end of the day, your image and your likeness and your voice are your own, like they are your identity. So we should be able to keep sort of lock and key our own identities at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. And I do know that, there's so many people in the industry that are kind of worrying at the moment about, their jobs, not even just in this industry, but in every industry, because we have, robots as well and
Yes.
all of that. So, we're living in interesting times,
Oh yeah.
for sure, for sure.
A lot of the TV shows that we've grown up with are now coming to fruition with the whole AI, robots, things like that. Like I have a feeling that like in the next 5 years, next five, maybe 10, maybe even 15, like we're gonna have robotic actors, we're gonna have sort of like things like that. What I feel like, especially with the economy at the moment, there needs to be a lot more money put into the arts because we generate well over like £20 billion each year, but there's actually been cuts, a lot of cuts recently in terms of like schools, theatre, like there's theatres that are closing like all the time. Obviously during COVID there was a lot of closures, but even now after COVID there's still a load of closures, and I think I read somewhere that it's roughly I think about 41% decline in arts projects like drama at school, music,
Mm.
dance. So I think personally, like the government and this country itself needs to sort of have a kick up the bum and go, we need the arts. Like if you
Yeah.
look at like America, like the American film industry, the British film industry, they are powerhouses. and we need to keep it that way, where like we are generating a lot of wealth into the country. So we should value them and respect them and keep keep trying to build them for the next generation.
Yeah, and I think it goes hand in hand with the devaluing of history, to be honest with you. But I was going to ask, where do you think the money is going? If it's not going into the
Ah,
arts, where are we putting the money?
um, in well, in the nicest possible way, into the back pocket of politicians and government officials. Like there's a lot of like bonuses that they've been getting, and we're not seeing any of this money. They are, so we kind of need to turn it around and go, well, if you want the country to sort of like stay standing, especially in terms of like the film industry, and not get taken over by, I don't know, German cinema or some of the European cinema, then you need to start investing in our people, in the arts, be it in any respect, not just the arts, be it in literature, because obviously with the literacy in this country, like we are known for like things like Pride and Prejudice. We're known for like our books. We're known for our art. We're known for our culture. Like I was speaking to a friend of mine who's Italian, and like I just asked the basic question: what in your opinion, what do Italians think of like Britain? And they're like, we love Britain, like the
Mm,
culture, the art, like just the everything to do with like the great like UK, like
mm,
they like a lot of European countries love because of sort of like of our art, of what we make. So it's like
yeah,
we need to we need to reinvest in this country,
yeah.
in the arts, in every sort of aspect of the country, because
Mm,
we are a great country. And to be fair, we we generate a lot of stuff.
mm.
Why do you think the Americans always like love the sophistication of the British? Because we are so very sophisticated and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's just I like England. So like I would love
Yeah.
to still be able to work here and perform here. And
And you
unfortunately, a lot of actors are now going overseas. They're going to
mm,
America. They're going to like Australia, New Zealand, and places like that because the arts industry at the moment is sort of declining, unfortunately.
yeah, and we tend to forget that art, history, heritage is all part of culture, and the more that we kind of lose, we're kind of the more that we don't kind of appreciate history and heritage, we're losing we're losing culture and what Britain is all about, you know? So it's a shame, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it is. It really is because historically, like you've mentioned, like everyone goes, oh well, the British Empire and all that, and it's like that's just one element
Right.
history.
Yeah.
Like it's the history of like Britain. Like for example, the North was known
Mm.
for like coal mines and is known for
So
like
much
steel
history.
mills and things
Yeah.
like that. And like I've unfortunately not seen like I've not seen any films that are based on like these sort of aspects.
You're so
Like,
right.
and it would be nice for us to sort of remind ourselves, well, we were one of the best countries in the world for when it came to like steel and coal and things like that. And that's just one historical aspect of us. Oh yes, you have the Victorian Britain and Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria and all the rest of that, which is always amazing because we do have a very long history. But like when people grow up now and they go, okay, well, what do you know of Britain?
Mm.
They're just going to be sort of seen with, oh well, I don't even know what they're gonna read about in history books in the
Yeah.
next like 20 years. The great age of TikTok. like oh yes, I remember back in the day when I was just on my phone, just scrolling and just watching TikToks. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Do you know what? Also, I think as you're saying, technology has taken over culture. I think that's the issue.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
for sure. Yes, but we could go on forever. Very interesting conversation. But Alexander, it was a pleasure to have you. Oh, actually, could you tell me a bit about your podcast?
Certainly, my podcast, mine and Marika's, is Acting the Industry. You can
Mhm.
find us on Instagram. We also are on Riverside. Um, and the podcast as a whole is it's sort of like hints and tips for people of the industry, be it actors, writers, filmmakers, whatever it might be. We have got a couple of episodes at the moment, and we're hoping to get it back on track recently because obviously with the going on in the world at the moment, like there's a lot going on. So it's just taking the time and sort of like being able to get down there. And if you ever want to join for a conversation, just let me know.
Yeah,
And
for
if
sure.
anybody
That
out
would be
there is
great.
watching and wants to hear more about it, please find me on Instagram or on Facebook.
Well, you heard him, guys. You heard him. But yeah, thanks for joining me, Alexander, and I wish you all the best.
Wish you all the best too. It was great
Thank
talking to you.
you.